Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of Eye of the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, Lauren Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. Today, I saw a little bit of an interesting little tidbit online. I got word that Rekieta is grifting, scamming, and coping with his audience, and I'm I'm very interested in seeing what this video is about. I've been spoiled on it. I have an idea of what he said, but I have actually never. I haven't actually seen the video itself, so I'm very curious about what he actually says. Um, I have a general idea, but like what I've been told, this is like a new low for Nick. I've heard this is like the worst thing he's done yet. And I'm very curious to see if that's the case or not, or if like things have been exaggerated. In my experience, I have never ever seen someone exaggerate something Nick has done. If anything, I think most people tend to downplay it. And I think that's what's happening now. I think a lot of people are actually encouraging you to check out this actually encouraging him to support him in this matter, which is completely laughable. But let's go ahead and do a break by scene by scene breakdown of Rekieta grifting, scamming, and coping.
Uncomfortable. I hate asking for help.
Now, why are you doing it? Your entire channel is built off of super chats. Why do you have them enabled? Why are you asking your audience for money if you don't like help? No, press X to doubt.
Really do. It's not in my character to ask for anything from me. Here we go, guys. The thing I was trying to not do, but end up doing here is
Oh no! Oh no! So he really is begging people for money. Okay, so those of you who aren't aware, Rekieta hinted a while back that he was actually going to beg for money, that he might have to ask for money in his lawsuit against Montegraph. And the thing about this, the thing I have an issue with, he makes so much money in general. I find it very hard to believe that he couldn't handle the lawsuit himself, like being able to afford it. This guy is like probably a millionaire. He pulls in like what, a couple of 100,000 every month. Like he makes plenty of money. So I have a very hard time accepting that he couldn't pay for this lawsuit himself. And the thing is, if you actually look into like what he's been doing with his money over the past couple of years, you get like a really weird picture. You have like the hedonistic vacation in Jamaica. You have like the $100,000 Ford Mustang that he promptly wrecked on his first when he was taking it home. You have like the Baldos. You have like hiring Mark Randazza, the most expensive lawyer in the country. Well, not the most expensive lawyer, the best free speech attorney in the country, who I believe is billing him for like $1,000 an hour, when he easily could have hired someone in state, locally, who could have done it for significantly less. Like he's essentially throwing away all of his money to flex. For some reason, for some inexplicable reason, he seems to like have this urge to like spend as much money as possible. And like, yet he's asking you for your money. He's asking you for more money, I should say, because like a big part of his income is donations. So he's seriously going to ask you for money for this lawsuit that he's already bungled several times over. Right, like this has been something I've noticed. This is something that's been observed. Like I've talked about like how he won't shut up about this lawsuit. I've talked about how unnecessary it was to like try and hire Randazza. I've talked about like alternative things he could do. Like this was completely unnecessary, and yet he wants to waste more of your money. This is just ridiculous to me, personally. I find this like very disrespectful to his audience. I think this is just plain ridiculous. I would never ever encourage someone to support this campaign.
Go. I'm fighting a bogus lawsuit from an insane moron. And thank you so much to people who have already donated.
I'm not sure how bogus this lawsuit actually is. I really need to look into it because I don't actually know what Monograph's complaints against Nick are. Like, I believe Monograph tried to kick off an ethics complaint, and I do think that Nick's behavior is unethical. Like I've talked about this before. I do think what Nick is doing should be investigated more thoroughly by like the ethics board or whoever like in Minnesota like handles like lawyers. Like Nick is just like abusing his status as a lawyer in like really weird, unusual ways, and I do think it's something that like should be cracked down on. It should be cracked down on. I'm not sure like what the legal side of things is, but like I do think there is like precedent for this to happen. And like Nick really needs to stop pretending as if he's surprised that people don't like what he's doing and have like actually started taking action against him. Like I it's weird for me to say this, but I almost feel like I side with Monograph. Going by like what I've been seeing here and seeing like Nick's side of the story. Like I can't imagine being anyone being pro Nick, but
And shared this campaign. Look, here's the deal. Montagraph is suing me, as you guys know, trying to give you updates as they happen. We're in kind of a holding pattern until April 10th, when our next hearing is. There's not really much to do in the meantime. I think my lawyer.
don't talk about it on stream. Don't talk about it on stream. Like I don't understand why he thinks it's a good idea to go on stream and go public about like the ongoing no, it's this is going to end in disaster. It's a big reason why you've gone so downhill in the past couple of years to begin with, is because you won't shut up about personal details that the your audience really does not need to know. They don't need to know about the lawsuits. They don't need to know about your sex life. They don't need to know about like really anything you get up to. And yet like you keep talking about everything except like the things you should be talking about, the things like the audience is actually tuning in to see.
Will be filing a reply brief at some point, but I'm not involved in that other than discussing with my lawyer, stuff like giving them information, etc. And they're kind of in charge of the strategy. And I don't really want to know much of the strategy because I want to talk about the lawsuit without like dealing with that. So I'm
Wait, so he doesn't know what his lawyers are doing? Like this, he's so confident in Mark Randazza that like he's gonna go live and like openly declare that like, oh, I don't even know what's going on with my lawyers. I don't need to like be involved with my own lawsuit because I'm so confident that I'm gonna win. Like this is the thing that really gets me about the situation is that like Nick is completely 100% certain that nothing is gonna happen to him. Absolutely nothing. And I have never pressed X to doubt harder in my life. I keep saying that this stream, but like it really is true when it comes to Rekieta because I just we've already seen all the negative repercussions of his actions, but like he really does seem to think that nothing is going to like nothing can happen to him. Like he really thinks he's so big on YouTube that like this 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 ethics complaint can't really impact him in any significant way. But as we've already seen, it already has, right? The fact that he's begging for money indicates that he is like running low on funds and that there's that like he really overestimated just how much he was able to like afford put into this lawsuit, right? Like he was just throwing money away like to flex, and this is the result. Like unbelievable.
my impressions of documents and stuff like that, but I try and stay out of those discussions as often as possible
Yeah, because he
unless
doesn't want
they're
to practice law.
politically needed. However, here's the reality. I mean, I guess I could just read the thing I wrote. I'll read it. So hey, what's up, guys? This is Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in Central Minnesota. How's it going?
What small law firm? Didn't you lose your LLC? Like, when was the last time you even put in a case? Like, tried a case? Like, yeah, I legit think the last time he ever practiced a case, at the absolute latest, was 2019. There is no way he's done anything since 2020. Like, no, absolutely no way.
If you're here, you probably already know about my plight. A lunatic internet weirdo named Montagraph, aka Steve Quest, is suing me with a frivolous lawsuit designed to silence my speech and impact my ability to do what I love, making people laugh at stupid legal and cultural topics.
He's really rolled back the whole like sex and relationship talk thing, because that's what he was saying earlier this year. Is that like he was gonna downplay he was gonna stop doing covering legal topics and go back to talking about talking more about like relationships and sex stuff. He's rolled back on that because I think the backlash to that was very, very real. I think it really significantly impacted his numbers, and I think it really killed his credibility in the long run. Like people don't trust him as a legal authority anymore. And like I think the only people who are like seriously following him for legal topics, legal talk, are people who aren't like aware of the controversy or don't know what's been happening over the past couple of years. And I'm sure there are plenty of people like that, but I don't think they can stay in the dark for very long. And I do think like at this point, like it's hit critical mass, and there's no way to stop like the decline of the channel. This is like early Cinemassacre style like decline, right? This is we are past like the peak period, and we are in like the inevitable decline for the channel because people don't have faith in the content you're producing anymore because of your own actions.
This started with Mr. Medicare back in 2019. He introduced me to Montegraph, who was engaged in another loser of an anti speech lawsuit against someone named Morphinos. Medicare and I laughed at the case and the bogus nature of the claims Montegraph was bringing and delved into the storied internet history of this strange man. Montegraph waged a meme war against me, but then ultimately disappeared for a couple of years. When I was wrongly banned from YouTube.
Yeah, I remember when Montegraph first showed up, right? Like, I really, hey, Nikki. I I am It's interesting to see like one of Nick's rogue someone from Nick's rogues gallery come back in this fashion, because I thought this guy dropped off the face of the earth, like Mad Black Atheist or like Ron Toye, but this guy is actually clapping back so hard that I actually think he might pull this off. I think he might actually succeed in fucking over Nick Rekieta.
Montegraph returned, claiming victory, and that I would never return to YouTube. As I deal with many trolls, I responded by relaying some of Montegraph's well-documented past. Now he's sued me for defamation, which is interesting because it requires things said to be false. I decided to take the lawsuit seriously and hired one of the best defamation lawyers out there, Mark Randazza, a true champion of free speech. Mark and I have a tepid history, but he took on the opportunity to defend speech while I took on the opportunity to be his most difficult client, and that roster is impressive. Certainly. All of that
His most difficult client. He's taking pride in the fact that he's treating this like an absolute joke. What a douchebag. I wouldn't like that at all, honestly. Like, damn. Talk about disrespectful to your attorney. Like, just what is his history with Randazza? I'm not caught up on the lore on that. If someone could like inform me, that would be very helpful.
to say legal bills for a top-tier law firm are insane, even on a frivolous suit. I've tried to help out many people over my time broadcasting, and I'm genuinely asking people to help me if they can spare it. Please, please do not put yourself in any financial peril or hardship on my behalf. Always take care of yourself and your family first. However, if you're so inclined, I would appreciate any assistance in defraying these legal bills. I also may have to pay for Mark's therapy or hypnotic mind wipe when all is said and done. I appreciate this community and everything it's done for me and my family. Thank you for your support. If you're unable to contribute financially, please consider sharing this campaign and spreading the word. Thanks, y'all. See you every weeknight at 11 p.m. Central. Peace. Peace. So, that's what we've got here. Look, I don't even know because I get an invoice every month how deep into this thing I am, but it's very
Okay, monthly. Okay, so Randazza bills him hourly, $1,000 an hour. So I don't know how exactly that would come out to. So he's billed monthly. Like in theory, if they do a 40-hour, okay, yeah, they wouldn't do it all day, right? Billable hours, 1,000. Yeah, assuming like they do it an hour a week, that'd be like what, like $4,000. So like my math is off. I haven't like done like the deep lore and how much like this is costing. I don't know how like when he started paying for Randaz's services, but like yeah, how much could he be paying for this a month? Like legit, real talk. Like it's probably like in the tens of thousands of dollars, right? Like assuming like they have to be working on it more than 1 hour a day, right? well, I'll have to like look into this. I actually don't know, but like it's an insane amount, and it's probably a big reason why he's doing this fundraiser is because like he's realizing that the trust fund money isn't going to pay for this. Like the super chats aren't going to pay for this. Like it's such a silly situation to be in, and I really can't emphasize this enough. The reason he's in this predicament is entirely because of his own actions. Like I don't think I don't think he should have like spent as much money as he has. I don't think he should have hired Randazza specifically. I don't think that like he really should have put himself in this position where Montegraph could file a lawsuit for defamation. And I think hmm. I'll have to like look into what he said about Monograph specifically because I do think Nick has like made like threats against certain groups of people. I don't know about like Monograph specifically, so I think they might actually have like a case for this and because of like Nick's ridiculous behavior, I think it might actually just incentivize uh, the court to move against him. But we'll see.
Very, very expensive. It's very expensive to fight even a frivolous lawsuit when you do it correctly. So, unfortunately, I'm asking for a little bit of help. But, if you do not want to, please don't. Please don't. I'm not going to come out here and say, I will never survive without your help or anything like that. The internet has been very, very good to me, and this community has been wonderful to me. So I don't want to ever misrepresent things. I'm not going broke. I'm not poor. I'm not dying. I'm not going to lose my house or something. At this point,
Yeah, because your parents paid for it. That's the trust fund bought that house.
I mean, I guess who knows what the future holds, but in reality, any little bit helps
Actually, not even that house. It's both of his houses.
quite a bit, and it helps me immensely because it is very, very expensive. So, um, thank you for your consideration. It's givesandgo.com/Rekieta Law. Um, it's I try to make it as easy for people to find it as possible, and really only to find people who would be interested in helping out with that. So, so there you go. Please consider sharing that and spreading the word. Thank you all again who have supported me. And yeah, see, we're already at $1,189. So I
You're
really
still
appreciate
giving
that.
him
Thank you
money.
guys
Like, stop it.
for the help. The Triptych asks a very important question. If Nick wins and Monty has to cover his legal costs, does that mean he has to pay back the chat and donors? No, that's not how that works. One, I don't know how I would do that practically. But two, the reality is that Monty, even if I get a fee award against Monty, it's almost impossible that he'll pay any of it. And that's the problem when you weaponize the legal system against people is how do I make a broke weirdo pay for the damage that they cause? There's really not much you can do. So yeah, but what I will try and do is, especially if I am able to defray the cost, I mean, that's going back into the show, into doing live events, into doing other things.
Live events that he charges for.
Related to the show that I've got planned for this year and next year and the next year and the next year. So, yeah, that's the reality of it. So again, thanks. If you don't want to help, please do not. I do not want help from people who have no inclination to help, and I don't want help from people who would put any financial stress on them at all. Please, you're sharing or just reading it over and going, hey, I support you, buddy. That's immense to me. Really, really is. So thank you.
I feel like lately I've been watching a lot of clips from him like that are taken from the locals chat. So I'm kind of used to him like being drunk and like high as fuck. So like it's kind of weird to see him like kind of sober talking about this. I suppose this is how he presents himself like during like important streams, and then he does like the really weird insane stuff like on locals or whatever. I don't know exactly what he's doing, how he's structuring this, because again, I haven't been watching the streams themselves. I can only go off by like Alyssa clips and what I've been told. And and I'm surprised at how like lucid he seems, because like I've commented on this before, how like the last couple of times I've seen him, he's just like been slurring his words and just like not being made himself very clear. Here he's like his classic manipulative self. Like he's trying to tell you that like, oh, this is a frivolous lawsuit. We gotta strike back against this internet weirdo if you want to protect free speech. But I I'm not convinced that like what you're doing falls under free speech. Like I never have been, but like I feel more and more like I feel more and more as if you're attacking other people on the internet for your own gain. And I think Monograph kind of has seen that too. And he sent an opportunity to like come after you and try and like ruin you through the legal system. And being a lawyer, you should be able to like outmaneuver this guy, like run circles around him. But you haven't. Like you've put yourself in this position where you're hired the most expensive attorney imaginable for a case that like you straight up claim will be outright dismissed with like I I I I just don't think he really grasps the fact that there is a very real possibility that he might have put himself in a bad position here. Like people are his reputation is in tatters, right? There is no hope for recovery. People are becoming more and more critical of him all the time. And although the donations are still coming in, they clearly have slowed. And there's clearly less of a focus on, like, there's clearly less interest from the community to support this guy. There's no real enthusiasm for it because really, I think a lot of people feel this way. I feel this way. He really did bring it on himself, despite what he claims. And I think anyone who's been following along with this, anyone who's been thinking critically about this, anyone who's been like speaking to like actual practicing attorneys about this, anyone who's been like doing investigative work or like looking into it, or even just knows who Nick is, right? Like anyone I think will like come to the same conclusion is that like this guy does not deserve your money. And I've said this before. This is one of the earliest Rekieta retardations I did. I don't know if it was like the very first, but like it was one of the early ones. Like, stop giving Nick Rekieta money. Stop bailing him out of these situations that he gets himself into, right? He's just going to like continue doing it over and over and over again and expect you, the audience, to continue paying for his bailout. Like this guy, his entire life, his family has, someone has bailed him out of every situation he's been into. Usually his family, the trust fund, and now it seems, now that he's in his 40s, he's like leaning more and more onto the audience. So much so that like he doesn't have to like use mommy and daddy so much. Like that is my impression of what we're seeing here is like a trust fund kid who's like gotten his first like taste of like financial freedom and is like doing everything he can to like flex on that, spending money that he doesn't need to spend. Like he doesn't seem to understand the value of the dollar in this sense. Like there is no, he really seems to act as if like his YouTube career is going to last forever. But like at the rate he's going, it's not going to last a year. He's begging more and more of his audience, and more. I think the audience is not willing to pay out, and who can blame them, right? Who wants to support this guy? Like watching him get drunk on stream and like toasting dead gerbils or whatever he does, like it's completely ridiculous. So I'm curious like how much other people in the community are supporting this. I haven't looked into this. This is my impression. This is my take. I imagine people in his circle, people like Tug, people like Raging Golden Eagle, Drexel, Ty Beard, um, the E-Thoughts, Brittany Venti, that what the fuck was her name? That other chick who likes Fire Emblem. Like all those people, like people in like the law tube circle, people in like the sector, like there's gonna be a lot of grifters, trying to vie for Nick's attention and his audience and his money, like trying to justify this. But I think there is no justifying this. Like I think Nick is being unreasonable. I think he has a long time ago. I think he has asked way too much for his audience. I think he's like exploited them and like used like wasted their generosity, right? Like just took their money and just like shit all over it, really for no reason, like just because he could, really, because he kept expecting, he knew that more would come like the next day, like the next stream, right? That's my impression of what we're seeing here is just this guy just in this downward spiral, surrounding himself by surrounded by sycophants who won't ever admit that he's done anything wrong. Right? That's what I see here, and I'm curious, like, at what point we're going to start like seeing this become more evident. I think this was like a new low for him. I think like he was very resistant to the idea of asking for donations for the lawsuit for a very good reason because it makes him look bad. But um, like the fact that he did it like really shows that like the cracks are there. Like this isn't a man pulling in like who has like millions of dollars to burn, right? Like he is eventually going to run out of money. He is eventually going to like find himself in like a poor situation. Caleb, I think I've said this before. His wife is 100% going to leave him at some point. I'm not sure like why or how, but it is going to happen. Like we are going to see like the decline of Nick Rekieta continue, and I think this is only the beginning of the end. I think we're only in the middle of this the saga of Nick Rekieta's downfall, and I don't know what the rise and fall of Nick Rekieta video is going to look like when it finally gets published, but I am very interested in seeing that video when it does get made.